Jiggy cat on a damn killer spree. This is Nagato, and you can't mimic my energy. 100 round drum and be hanging like a centipede. Hello guys, this is Nagato's Revenge and welcome back to my channel. For today's tutorial, I'm basically going to be showcasing on how to convert RIF to RAP files and fix Edat files to use premium PSN avatars on your PlayStation account. If you guys did like this video, please be sure to follow my latest social media so you'll know the latest hacking guides and tutorials on this channel. With that being said, let's go ahead and get into the prerequisites. As shown here, there are a lot of prerequisites. So the first thing you need, of course, is a modded PlayStation 3 or a jailbroken PlayStation 3 that is on custom firmware. You'll also need the latest version of Rebug Toolbox if you decide to FTP files over. You'll also need a PSN account that you want to pull the avatars off of, so you make sure that your account that you want to pull the avatars off of basically has the avatars already purchased from the PSN store. You also need PSN access, assuming that your guys are not banned and you have Wi-Fi, so you do need to, log into PSN. You also need FileZilla if you're going to go basically the Rebug Toolbox method way. You also need the latest version of Multiman. You also need a program called RIF to RAP, and also you need a program called True Ancestor Edat Rebuilder 1.45. and also when you install that program onto your PC, and I'll get later into this in the tutorial, make sure you have the latest version of Java installed on your PC as well. You also need your own console ID that's on your PS3, and then you also need Hex Editor. And then with that being said, I'm going to go into a little more detail on how your console ID should be formatted. As shown here, FYI, this console ID is banned. I just found it on Google just for this example, but console ID is exactly the same as IDPS. It's just saying, it's basically the same terminology, but IDPS is a 16-byte value that contains console specific information. So your PlayStation 3 has a specific console ID that is special to your PS3, and everybody's PS3 in the world has a special console ID. But with that being said, I guess I covered the bases of that, but make sure that your console ID is formatted into this same format, and I'll speak on it a little bit more in the tutorial. But with that being said, let's go ahead into the video. Alright, so assuming that you guys did follow the steps as said in the beginning of this video, you should be fine. Any of these files, as you see here, will also be in a link in the description below, just like I have in all my videos. But with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and break down each file and then explain why is it useful for the end goal for this process, and then I'm going to state the end goal. So our end goal is to basically take our PlayStation Network avatars off our PS3 accounts and then basically download them so we could use them on our other accounts, because our avatars are encrypted, so it's only for your account. So let's say you have, I don't know, a Call of Duty avatar and you want to transfer it to another account. You can't just copy the .edat since it's encrypted. That's why we need RIF to RAP and also True Ancestor Edat Rebuilder to rebuild our Edat so we are able to use them on other accounts, which are these two files here. So that's the purpose for True Ancestor and RIF to RAP. We also need a Hex Editor, basically HxD setup right here. This is the file. So when we take our console ID, or aka the IDPS, we also need that file as well with RIF to RAP to set that up, to basically decrypt our files so we can re-encrypt them with True Ancestor. So that's basically the purpose for Hex Editor. We also need Java setup, or basically Java, to get True Ancestor to work, because if you don't have this installed already on your PC, since I'm using Windows 10, the program won't just work, and it basically won't encrypt your files. But also what we need to do now is go ahead, and if you're doing the FTP method and basically trying to get the files from certain directories from PS3 just using FTP, you need FileZilla as well. But since I'm doing the Multiman USB method, this is the one we need. But so those are basically for Rebug Toolbox and Multiman, excuse me. If you're going to go FTP method, do this one. If you're going USB, use Multiman, which I'm doing in this video. So if you want to follow along, do Multiman. But we also need this file right here, SEN Enabler, to safely sign in to our PSN accounts, so there's less chance of getting banned. But the first step we're going to be taking before we even get into transferring files and open it up, we're going to go ahead and install Java, and I'll have a link in the description below. This is for Windows 10, so go ahead and just click on it, run it as admin on your desktop, and then just install it like a normal program. it may take a little while for it to pop up since I already had it previously installed. But once it pops up, it should say that basically welcome to Java, and it basically lists the terms of service. Once you read it, basically just go ahead and hit install, and then from there it's going to do its thing. It may take a little second to load on my desktop, but once it pops up, you should get this little progress bar, and it shouldn't take too long. But once that process is finished installing, what we're going to do now is basically we're going to focus on the USB stuff. So we're going to go ahead, and if you're doing a FileZilla method and stuff, go ahead and USB your stuff, or excuse me, transfer your files that way. But I'm going to be doing the Multiman method, so I'm just going to minimize this process right here. So by the time we put our stuff on our USB, it should be done. So go ahead and plug in your USB, and now what we need to do is go ahead and take our files. Let me go ahead and pop my USB. So this is my USB, but before we even transfer our files over, all we need to do is make sure our USB is formatted to FAT32. By doing that, all you got to do is right click on your USB drive, and then go ahead and hit properties, and then right under file system, it should state that your thing is on FAT32. If it doesn't state that your USB drive is on FAT32, all you have to do is basically format it. Before you format your drive though, please back up your files either to another USB drive or your desktop for temporary purposes, because anytime you reformat a hard drive or USB drive PC, it basically will wipe it clean. But the way how to do that is go ahead and right click, go into format, and then where it says file system, if your thing's on NTFS or exFAT, just go ahead and click FAT32 as shown here. For your allocation unit size, you can either hit default allocation size or whatever your USB is stating at the moment. Yours may be different. Also for your volume label, mine says Sony. It doesn't matter. You can just rename it to anything. Make sure you go ahead and make sure that quick format is checked, because if it's not, basically will take a longer way to format. But from there, all you would have to do is start and then hit OK. This warning is basically stating again, formatting will erase all data from your disk. So if you don't do it, basically it's just going to wipe it clean. But I'm not going to do that since I have some items I want to keep on there, and my drive is on FAT32. Assuming that you guys are on FAT32 right now, what we want to do is go ahead and take our USB drive. And okay, before we even do that, just go ahead and close this out since Java is installed. But once you basically have your USB drive formatted to FAT32, what you can do now is take your Rebug Toolbox if you're doing an FTP method, and also drag and drop Multiman and SEN Enabler, and then just go ahead and drag that to your thing right here. I already had them on my USB drive, but I'm just going to replace it just for tutorial purposes. And then once we got that done, we could go ahead and delete these 3 files off our desktop, or you could keep them. And then I'm gonna also just put this to the side right here, and now we're gonna go ahead and focus on these files, the Hex Editor. We're gonna go ahead and unzip it. You need WinRAR if some of these files are WinRAR, so I'll have I'll have the basically link to WinRAR in the description, excuse me. But once you unzip Hex Editor, go ahead and delete that zip. We're going to go ahead and install that to our PC as well, since we're going to need it later on. And then go ahead and set it up via your language. Since I'm from United States, I'm going to choose English. And then from here, go ahead and just hit next on your install wizard. You can read the terms of service, but go ahead and accept the agreement. Go ahead and just go ahead and hit normal, integrate into Windows Drive. But if you're using USBs and stuff and you want to do this on, go ahead and hit portable, but I'm just going to choose normal. Go ahead and hit next. If you want to create a shortcut on your desktop, I'll do it just for tutorial purpose today, and then just go ahead and install. And now you should basically have Hex Editor onto your PC. So once we have that, this is Hex Editor, and this is the program I'm going to be messing with a little bit later on, but I'm going to close it now. What we need to do, since we have Hex Editor installed, Java installed, and also our files on our USB, we could go ahead and extract our riff to wrap file into one folder. So I'm going to extract to a folder called riff to wrap on our PC, and then from there I'm going to extract true ancestor Edat as well, just to get a little head start. And then we can both either save these files to your desktop or you could just delete them. I'm just gonna delete them just so it's a little more easier. And now what we're gonna do is go ahead and back onto the PlayStation 3. We're gonna sign into our PSN accounts, and also we're gonna get our console ID so we can go along with the process. So I'll meet you guys back onto the PS3, and then once that's done, we're gonna go back to the PC and then mess with Rift to Wrap and also True Ancestor. So I'll meet y'all guys there. Alright guys, so I'm back on the PlayStation 3 as shown here. What we need to do is go ahead and install our PKGs that we just transferred over to our USB. So make sure your USB is in your PS3, of course. And now what you want to do is go into Package Manager as shown here, go to Install Package Files, and then go to the third option for Standard, and then make sure of course you're on Custom Firmware while doing this. And then when you basically go ahead and install the packages that we just are needed for this video, so we need to go and install SEN Enabler, so go ahead and click on X on that, go into Multiman, and also we need Rebug Toolbox. I'm not going to install these three since I already have previously installed them via here, so just to save a little time on the video. But once you got those installed and they onto your XMB, what we need to do now is go ahead and basically boot up GTA Academy first. Okay, so before we even patch all and then basically kind of emulate that our CFW is official firmware PS3 or like a regular PS3, what we need to do is go ahead into this option right here called See PS3 Data. On the screen, once I edit this out, you won't see my console ID or my PS ID or anything that is confidential. But once you go in here, you should basically see your firmware, your machine, basically your PS3 temperature, and also your IDPS and also your console ID. Once you basically have your IDPS and also your console ID, what you need to do is basically write it down, take a picture or something, because we're going to need that later on in the video once we try to download our avatars. So assuming that y'all guys did get that part and followed my little introduction in the video, you should be fine. But go ahead and just take a picture or something so it's easier when you go ahead and type it into Hex Editor, and I'll explain a little bit more about that later on in the video. But from still in SEN Enabler, what we need to do now is go ahead and hit Patch All, and then go ahead into Official Firmware, and then disable all, and then go ahead and delete our history files. And then I'm just going to go ahead and hit Exit, and I should be back onto the XMB. Alright, so assuming that you guys are back onto the XMB, what we need to do is go ahead and sign into PSN. So once you guys are successfully signed into PSN safely, what we need to do is go ahead into account management, and then y'all guys probably won't be able to read this since I'm on my Japanese PSN account, but you in English, what we need to go to is basically I think the 5th option. So from here you go to the 3rd option, and then if we go to the 5th option here, you should see your downloads list. If you don't have any PSN avatars downloaded, what we need to do is go ahead and download them. So for example, I want these avatars right here shown here. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and basically download them. It should state that your PS3 is activating right now, and since these files are only 100 kilobytes, it shouldn't take too long. So that's basically the first avatar. I'm going to do my other avatars as shown here, and then once that process is done, I'll explain a little bit more in a second. So that's my 4th avatar. Just want to go ahead and verify that I have all of them. Alright, so yeah, basically these are my new avatars I'm trying to pull from my account. But once you download your avatars from your PSN, what we could do now is go ahead and basically sign out of our PSN, and then from there guys, what we need to do is go ahead and boot into Multiman. Alright guys, so assuming that you're in Multiman right now, what we need to do is go all the way to the left as shown here, and now we got to go to the 2nd options over File Manager / Multiman Operating System. Go ahead and hit X once, and then from there guys, make sure your USB is still plugged in because you'll need it later. But what we need to do now is go into PS3 root, go into dev_HDD0, and now we need to go to home. And then basically we need to find our user. I know that basically my user is 0008 right here, but an easy way to tell your user is basically your local username if you have it over, you know, your PSN or basically your account. So I know that I'm user 2 on my PS3, if that makes sense. Your name may be different, like I don't know, it could be racecar111, but that's your local username. But the easiest way you could also do it if you go to friend I'm and check you know, your friends list avatars. That's how you could tell of which account depending if you have friends added. But what we need to do is go ahead and focus on PSN_avatar. What we need to do is go ahead and copy this whole folder over to our dev_USB 001 or 000 depending on what yours says, and then paste that to our USB flash drive. And then once that is done as well, what we need to do is go ahead and paste xdata, and these are the RIF files that we need, and also we need this act.dat. And then once we have those two files right here, guys, and then once you paste that onto your USB, and you can do this basically the same method by going to the same directory for your respective you know, count ID using FileZilla. But once that's done, what we're going to go now to is the PC, and I'm going to explain how to convert our RIF to wraps, and then how to basically re-encrypt them to Edat. So I'll meet you guys back on the PC. So assuming that you are finished with the Multiman portion of this tutorial, what we need to do now is go ahead back onto our PC and plug in our USB flash drive that was originally into the PS3. So as shown here, let me go ahead and open up my USB flash drive onto the screen. We need to go ahead and copy our two folders that we just transferred from Multiman. So go ahead and drag and drop our PSN_avatar folder and our X. Once we did those two steps, what we need to do now is go ahead into Hex Editor, and we're going to talk about a little bit more about our console ID. So go ahead and open up Hex Editor, go into File, go into New, and then from here basically you would need to go ahead and type in your console ID. So as shown in the very you know, in the intro to this video, go ahead and type in your you know, not your IP but your console ID exactly like that. Yours will be definitely different than the one that's showcased here, and I'm going to go ahead and paste mine right here in a second, and then I'm going to, you know, block this out so you guys, you know, won't see my console ID since it's confidential. And then once you have your console ID here, what you need to do is go ahead and hit File, make sure to go ahead and hit Save As, and then from there go ahead and all lowercase onto your desktop where you want to save this file at, is name it IDPS, and then once the process is done, you could go ahead and close that out. So once you have your console ID as shown here, and you know, all your PSN_avatar and your xdata folder, what we need to go to is to our RIF to wrap folder. Let me go ahead and delete this stuff out so I could show you guys from the beginning on how to do this real quick. So yeah, once your RIF to wrap folder should look like this. What we need to do is go ahead into our RIF to wrap folder, or no, excuse me, our xdata folder, since I'm already in that. Go ahead and copy all of the contents in your xdata folder. So how many avatars you have, in this case I'm only doing 4. What we need to do is go ahead and paste this into the root of this folder, and our act.dat file, go ahead and hit Ctrl+C, and then in our xdata folder right here, go ahead and hit paste. And then we're gonna have to get our IDPS file that we just made right here, our console ID file, and then put that xdata as well. So in this folder inside RIF to wrap should be these two files right here, and then also you want to go ahead and be IDPS folder as well. So what we need to do now is take our RIF files and then just drag it and drop it over to this exe file, which is like a CMD part. And what it should happen is it should create a .wrap file. So as you see here, we took the original avatar file right here and it created a wrap one, and we're going to do this for each of our avatars. So that's one, and then we got to do our third one, and then last but not least, we're going to have to do our fourth one showcased right here. So as you see here, we basically have all our wrap files, and now once we have all our wrap files, what we need to do is go ahead into true ancestry Edat, and then basically you won't have either of these files in there. I was kind of testing this before. so I can make sure that this is working for y'all guys. But what you want to do is go ahead and create a Edat folder in True Ancestry, so just name it Edat, and then create a blank one called wraps. And what we need to do into our Edat folder, we got to put our Edat files in there. So if we go into PSN_avatar, and this is where we're going to basically decrypt our stuff and re-encrypt it, go ahead and hit Control-C and paste our 4 Edat avatars right here. And then if we go back out, our wrap files, what we need to do from there, if we go back to our HxData folder, or excuse me, not HxData, our riff to wrap folder, we'll go ahead and copy all of our wrap files. So let me do that real quick on the screen. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then once we do all of those steps right here, I'm gonna go ahead and drag it to here. Make sure, you know, of course, you have Java installed. That's why we need this program to work. But what we need to do is go into rebuilder.exe, and then basically you should get this little like cool little GUI. Kind of looks dated, but I think it has a nice tone to it. What we need to do is go ahead and hit number 3 on our keyboard, and then basically you'll see all of your Edat files, and in this case our avatar files. And then basically I don't think the batch mode works, but the way how we basically could decrypt them and re-encrypt them is go ahead and click on our avatar. So it should be stating that it found the K license and it's rebuilding the Edat, and right here as you see it says the Edat has been successful. So depending you know, if you do get an error, that means A, you either don't have the right IDPS and you typed it wrong, or something's wrong with your HxDat file. So make sure, you know, you follow all the steps that's shown here. But what I'm doing now is just, you know, selecting using, you know, the numeric keyboard on my computer and rebuilding all my Edats, or my avatars I should say. And as shown here, all of my avatars has successfully been, you know, rebuilt. If we go to Edat right here, you can see that our timestamp for me is 3:55, that they've been rebuilt at this time. So you could tell that these are, you know, the new encrypted files. So what we could do now, if we go here, Control-C, and then if we go into PSN or to a USB right here as shown here, and go into PSN_avatars. If we go ahead and delete our old avatars, and then from here go ahead and hit paste. Basically once I go into another PSN account on my PS3, sign in and then replace my PSN_avatars, and I'll show you guys on how to do that as well into another user. I could basically use these avatars for, you know, another account. So that's what I'm going to be showcasing now. So I'll meet you guys back on a PlayStation 3, and I'm going to be into Multiman, and I'm going to show you guys on how to, you know, dump your avatars into a new place. Alright guys, so I'm back into Multiman as shown here, but I'm going to be showcasing on how to, you know, install your new avatars on your, you know, a secondary account as well, just to show that the process works. So once your USB drive is in, go ahead into PSN_avatar, go ahead and hit copy right here by hitting circle X, and then you could go ahead and minimize the screen here. If we go into PS3 and then root and go to dev_etcd0, go into home. And then right here, I know this is my new account that I'm going to be pasting this in. Go ahead and paste here. So whatever account you want to paste your new avatars in, just go ahead, like I stated before, check your local username. I know that user 2 is going to be the one I'm going to be using as well. And then from there, what we're going to do now is go ahead and sign in to PSN. So I'm going to go ahead and back out to XMB and sign in. Alright, so as shown here guys, I'm basically going to be signing into PSN. Don't forget, you know, to use, you know, SEN Enabler, of course, before you, anytime you sign into PSN, which I did as well. And now if I go into my account management, go to account information, go into avatar, I basically will see, you know, the Japanese avatars that I got from my other account as shown here. So that's what I'm going to do, change my avatar here, and then basically that's the end process. So if you guys did enjoy this tutorial, please be sure to leave a like, comment down below, and subscribe to my channel for more daily tutorials just like this. Thank you guys for watching.
Of course, I love the llamas.
Nice and silky smooth.